You know that sudden, really uncomfortable jolt when someone points out something you could have done better?
Yeah.
That sort of internal oof feeling?
Huh.
We instinctively brace ourselves, don't we? We
Wrong
do, even when maybe deep down we know that kind of input is actually crucial for growth.
Exactly. And there's a reason for that. Our brains, they're basically wired for self-preservation.
Right.
And criticism, even when it comes with the best intentions, it can trigger those really ancient defense mechanisms. It makes us feel threatened.
Right. Fight or flight.
Precisely. It takes real mental effort, conscious effort to override that initial reaction.
And that's really what this deep dive is all about today, transforming that oof into more of an aha moment.
Yeah.
We're going to try and unravel the art, and maybe the science too, of dealing with criticism constructively, both giving and receiving feedback for growth.
We'll look at some of those hidden psychological reasons why feedback can feel so, challenging.
And hopefully equip you with some concrete strategies for delivering it, but also for accepting it gracefully.
And maybe show how building a culture, where constructive criticism is normal, can unlock some incredible potential in all sorts of relationships, personal and professional.
So our mission today, basically give you the shortcut to turning that discomfort, that natural discomfort, into a powerful engine for self-improvement.
And for stronger connections too. Helping you not just hear feedback, but actually internalize it, act on it for your own well-being and for your relationships.
Okay, let's get into it. Starting with the art of giving constructive criticism. Because, it's not something we're born knowing how to do well, is it?
No, definitely not. It's absolutely a learned skill. It takes, intentional effort, practice, mindfulness.
So why is it so hard then? Why do we often find it difficult to deliver feedback effectively?
Oh, it's kind of a tightrope walk, isn't it? A lot of people find giving feedback really hard because it triggers their own anxieties. The fear of being judged themselves or disliked or maybe damaging the relationship.
That makes sense.
It's like you have this crucial piece of information that could genuinely help someone, but you're worried about how they'll take it.
But stepping forward, giving that feedback is vital for improvement.
It really is. Because withholding feedback, in essence, you're kind of denying someone a chance to grow.
Right. So, okay, you decide to step forward. How do you make sure the feedback lands well? That it's actually impactful and not, heard as just a personal attack?
The absolute core idea is focus on behavior, not personality. This is so critical.
Okay.
Effective feedback targets specific actions and outcomes, not someone's character, not who they are.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Like, instead of saying your product presentation was just way too technical, or just vague, right? And it can feel like you're criticizing their intelligence or something.
Yeah, I can see that.
A much more constructive approach, something our sources point to, would be, hey, on slide 7, I noticed you went really in depth into how the bidding algorithm works.
Okay. Specific.
And it was a bit hard for the sales team to follow because, they didn't quite have the context yet. Maybe a slide earlier explaining why it's needed would have made it more digestible for them.
Ah, okay. I see the difference. It shifts from being about them being too technical to an observation about a specific action and its impact on a specific group.
Exactly. It's much less personal, much less threatening.
It makes it about the thing, not the person.
Yeah.
And building on that, another technique I've heard about is using I statements. How does that help?
Oh, hugely. Framing feedback from your perspective is incredibly powerful.
Right.
When you start sentences with things like I feel or I noticed or I think, it automatically makes the feedback less personal for the receiver.
So instead of you were unprepared.
Right. Instead of you were unprepared yesterday, maybe try. I felt like maybe we didn't spend quite enough time crafting the next steps after the presentation we gave yesterday. It communicates your observation clearly, but it doesn't label the other person. It sort of invites a conversation rather than just triggering a defensive reaction.
Yeah, it feels more like a shared observation, not an accusation or an indictment. Okay, so we've got focus on behavior, use I statements. What about when you give the feedback? Timing matters, right?
Absolutely. There's a balance, though, between timeliness and thoughtfulness.
Okay.
Timeliness is definitely crucial. Giving feedback relatively soon after the event or action, ideally say, within 2 to 7 days, maximizes its relevance. The scenario is still fresh in both your minds.
Makes sense.
However, that doesn't mean blurting it out immediately in the heat of the moment.
Right. Bad idea.
Yeah. Even with timely feedback, it's usually wise to wait at least, say, a day. Give yourself time to reflect. Ask yourself some questions. Will this feedback genuinely help them improve? Do they need to hear this right now? Am I actually prepared to help them think through solutions or next steps? That pause, that reflection, helps ensure your feedback is truly constructive and not just, an emotional reaction you're having.
That's a really great point about preparation. And it's not just the words, is it? How you deliver it, your nonverbal cues, that matters too.
Oh, they speak volumes. Seriously.
Good.
Maintaining a friendly tone, having positive, open body language.
Like what?
Like, facing the person directly, maybe leaning in slightly, keeping good eye contact, avoiding crossed arms.
Yeah.
All those things signal that it's a safe space for sharing.
And if it's remote?
Video on. Always. It's non-negotiable if you want to convey sincerity and read their cues too. These nonverbal signals can significantly reduce defensiveness before you even say much.
Okay, so we've covered some key do's. What about the don'ts? Are there common mistakes or maybe popular approaches that actually backfire?
Well, the biggest one, probably the most common pitfall we really need to avoid, is the infamous sandwich method.
Ah, the feedback sandwich. Positive, negative, positive.
Exactly. Start with a compliment, slip in the criticism, then end with another compliment. It sounds nice, maybe well-intentioned, but it's often really ineffective.
Yeah.
It can totally undermine the actual constructive feedback. Worse, it can make the positive comments feel insincere, which just erodes trust. The receiver often just braces for the but.
Right. They hear the first positive thing and think, okay, here it comes.
Yeah. So it's not a healthy snack after all. It can feel a bit like a manipulation tactic.
Okay, so ditch the sandwich. What else should we definitely steer clear of?
Public feedback. Full stop. Constructive criticism should never be shared publicly or in front of others.
Why is that so bad?
It can lead to huge embarrassment, shame, or make the person feel really singled out and attacked. It completely shuts down any possibility of a productive dialogue. Always schedule a private one-on-one session.
Got it. Private setting. Anything else?
Yeah, one more. Forced positivity or meaningless compliments. Feedback, whether it's positive reinforcement or constructive criticism, needs to be sincere and authentic to actually help someone move forward and improve. Fake praise doesn't help anyone.
That's a crucial distinction. Sincerity matters. And ultimately, feedback isn't just about you delivering a message to them, is it? It should be more interactive.
Exactly. That's the goal. Make it a conversation, not a lecture. Feedback is or should be a collaborative dialogue.
So the giver needs to.
As the giver, you need to consciously create space for the receiver to ask questions, to offer their perspective, maybe share context you didn't have, and then ideally, brainstorm solutions together.
Shared ownership.
Yeah, it fosters that sense of shared ownership over the path forward. It's about working with them on improvement, not just telling them what they did wrong.
Okay, that covers giving feedback really well. Now let's flip the coin. Receiving constructive criticism. This is probably where most of us feel that immediate, ooh, we talked about.
It's hard.
It's inherently difficult because, like you said, it can activate those defense mechanisms, make us feel threatened or attacked.
It's completely human nature to feel defensive. And here's something really interesting about that. Research shows that the very act of preparing a defensive response in your head, it actually inhibits your brain's ability to truly process new information by up to 40% in some studies.
40%?
Yeah, so it's not just about arguing back. Your brain literally becomes less receptive, less able to learn when it feels under attack.
So your first impulse might be to argue or shut down.
But that's precisely the moment where the real opportunity for growth lies, if you can manage that impulse.
Okay, so how do we do that? When that fight or flight kicks in, what's the first practical step to receiving feedback more gracefully? How do we override that mental block?
The absolute first, most crucial step is pause. Take a deep breath. Resist that powerful, immediate urge to react, to respond, to argue. Just pause.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. But try to recognize that initial defensive feeling for what it is, just a biological response.
Yeah, enough.
Give yourself that moment.
And then what? In that moment.
Try to consciously shift your mindset. Remind yourself, okay, this feedback is likely being offered with my best interests at heart. Try to view it as a valuable, well, a gift, really.
A gift. That's a strong reframe.
It is, but think about it. It's an opportunity for growth, insights you might not have seen yourself. And honestly, it often takes courage for someone to give you honest feedback. Recognizing that effort can help.
Reframing it as a gift is powerful. But okay, I'm in the moment, I'm feeling maybe a bit attacked. How do I actually make that mental leap from ouch to gift?
It definitely takes practice, but the key is to train yourself to listen differently. Listen to understand, not just to formulate your reply or your defensive counterargument.
Okay, active listening.
Yeah, approach the conversation with genuine curiosity, an open mind. Really seek to grasp the other person's perspective, why they're saying this.
And how do you make it feel less personal?
Try to connect it to your role, not your core self, especially in a professional context, right? Constructive criticism is usually about improving your performance in your role or the outcome of a specific task, not about you as a fundamental person. Depersonalizing it like that really helps reduce the sting.
Okay, so listen to understand, depersonalize it. Then how should I respond verbally in a way that keeps the door open?
First, regardless of how the feedback feels initially, try to express gratitude. Seriously. A simple, okay, thank you for sharing that with me, or I appreciate you telling me this, goes a surprisingly long way.
Even if you don't agree with it yet.
Especially then, perhaps. It acknowledges their effort and courage. Then it's absolutely okay, even encouraged, to ask clarifying questions to make sure you fully understand.
Like what kind of questions?
Things like, okay, let me see if I'm understanding correctly. Are you talking about X situation? Or could you maybe give me another example of when you notice that? Phrasing it that way shows you're engaging, not attacking.
But avoid challenging it directly.
Right. In that initial moment, try to avoid refuting or directly challenging the feedback. If you feel you need more time to process it or maybe gather your own thoughts or data, it's perfectly fine to say something like, okay, thanks, I need some time to think about this. Can we maybe follow up tomorrow?
Okay, so buy yourself some processing time if needed.
Yeah.
And after the conversation, that's when the real work starts, right? Integrating it.
Exactly. After the chat, take some dedicated time to pause and reflect properly. Ask yourself honestly, okay, what's the kernel of truth here? How can I use this to improve? What are one or two actionable steps I could actually take?
And should you loop back with the person who gave the feedback?
It's optional, but highly recommended.
Yeah.
Following up demonstrates that you've actually processed the feedback and you're taking action.
How might that look?
It could be as simple as checking in later, saying, hey, I thought about what you said regarding X and I'm trying Y now, or just acknowledging improvements later on. It really reinforces trust and shows you're committed to growth. It signals you're not just hearing, but you're actually doing something with what you've learned.
Okay, this all makes sense for individual interactions, but you mentioned earlier that the true power really gets unleashed when this becomes ingrained in a team or an organization. This idea of a feedback culture.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how profound the benefits are when feedback becomes systemic, part of the daily fabric.
Like what?
Well, for instance, when employees feel genuinely free, safe, and encouraged to both share and receive feedback, they develop a much greater sense of ownership and engagement.
Engagement goes up.
Significantly. Organizations with strong feedback cultures consistently see higher engagement scores, partly because, employees feel their work actually matters enough for someone to comment on it, to respond.
It fosters that employee voice idea.
Exactly. It allows valuable suggestions and concerns to surface and actually influence decisions, which makes people feel heard and valued.
So, okay, higher engagement. Does it also build like a deeper kind of trust? Because sometimes feedback, if done badly, can feel like it breaks trust.
Absolutely. When done well, it builds trust. Open, honest, respectful communication cultivates mutual respect, and that works up, down, and across hierarchies. High-trust organizations consistently experience less burnout, lower stress levels, and perhaps unsurprisingly, higher productivity.
Because people feel safer.
Precisely. When people feel psychologically safe from being embarrassed, punished, or ignored for speaking up, they're far more likely to share ideas, admit mistakes early, and point out potential problems. That safety is really the bedrock of any truly effective team or innovative environment.
So it's not just about soft skills or feelings. It connects to hard data, results, innovation too.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. A continuous feedback loop generates invaluable data, real-time information that can be used to optimize processes, understand challenges, gain a holistic view of how things are really working.
Instead of just waiting for the annual review.
Exactly. It moves you beyond those sporadic, often backward-looking reviews, to a state of constant forward-looking improvement. It becomes a constant stream of insights.
Right.
And while, yes, positive recognition is motivating, constructive feedback is truly that gift of guidance. It provides the actionable roadmap for professional development and productivity, even when it points out weaknesses.
This all sounds great, almost utopian. But let's be real, building this kind of culture feels like a huge challenge for many organizations, doesn't it? Especially if you're starting from a place of low trust or where feedback just isn't the norm.
Yeah.
Where do you even begin?
It is a challenge, no doubt. But the crucial starting point, and this is really non-negotiable, is leadership.
Leaders have to model it.
They absolutely have to set the stage. By openly giving feedback constructively, yes. But perhaps even more importantly, by actively seeking and graciously receiving feedback themselves, publicly even.
So showing vulnerability.
Yes.
Yeah.
When leaders do that, it starts to dismantle those hierarchical barriers. It signals that feedback isn't just a top-down thing, but a vital daily nutrient for growth for everyone, regardless of title. It shows vulnerability is okay, even a strength.
Okay, so leaders need to walk the talk.
Well,
What else? What are the sort of organizational pillars needed to support this kind of culture?
Well, first, you have to genuinely value employee voice and critically respond with action. Feedback without any resulting action is just conversation. It can actually breed cynicism.
People need to see it lead somewhere.
Exactly. Research shows employees are twice as likely to feel genuinely listened to when leaders not only hear the feedback, but visibly act on what they've learned. And crucially, they need to communicate back what they're doing in response. Close that loop.
Right. Transparency. What else?
Second, formal training is often essential. Because, as we said, giving and receiving feedback constructively isn't natural for everyone. Standardized training can help level set expectations and skills.
Covering what?
How to give and receive feedback respectfully, productively, different types of feedback, maybe company-specific procedures or tools.
Okay. Training. Third.
Establish clear processes and expectations. People need guidelines. Where should feedback happen? When? How often? With whom? Is it just manager report or peer-to-peer too? Clarity reduces anxiety.
Makes sense. And lastly,
Encourage multiple feedback channels. Don't just rely on annual surveys. Use regular one-on-ones, team meetings, maybe suggestion boxes, or even specialized feedback software. Create a whole ecosystem so feedback flows more naturally in different ways.
okay, that paints a really clear picture of how individuals and organizations can approach this. So wrapping this up, what's the core message for our listeners to take away?
I think the main thing is that confronting the discomfort of criticism, whether you're the giver or the receiver, it's absolutely a skill. And like any skill, it can be developed with practice.
It's about focusing on the behavior, not the person.
Being specific, using those I statements, making it a genuine conversation.
And on the receiving end, understanding our own defensive reactions.
Yeah, understanding that psychological trigger and consciously choosing to override it by really listening to understand, not just react.
And when you commit to doing this, both giving and receiving well.
It really transforms from being just a personal challenge or an awkward conversation into this incredibly powerful force for building trust, fostering that vital psychological safety.
And ultimately driving better results and innovation, whether that's in your team, your company, or even your personal relationships.
Yeah. Constructive criticism, when handled well, truly is a gift. It's a pathway to some profound personal and professional growth.
It really is an essential component of self-awareness, building stronger relationships, and ultimately creating a more dynamic, more successful environment for everyone involved.
Couldn't agree more.
So as you, our listeners, reflect on this deep dive, maybe think about this. What's one specific feedback technique, either for giving it or receiving it, that you're going to consciously try out this week?
Just one small step.
Yeah.
How might that single intentional action maybe unlock a new level of understanding for you, or perhaps accelerate a growth opportunity that you didn't even realize was waiting there?